Good evening and welcome to tonight's public meeting with regard to the Jackson Woods Playground. I'd like to take an opportunity to first thank Mayor and Council for making this development a possibility. And I'd like to make a few introductions of a few of the people that are on the call. I just asked that if you are on there, if you could just mute on the panel. Thank you. So we have Ken Horde. Ken Horde is, there he is, he's waving. Ken is the operations supervisor for parks, and he looks after the day-to-day operations within the parks department, and playgrounds is one of many on his plate. We have Sarah Collins. She is the accessibility coordinator for the city, and we work very closely with her with any development within parks. We have Marilyn Warren and Jenna Leslie, who will be helping out. There's Jenna and Marilyn somewhere down there. Will be helping facilitate the meeting by providing the questions that you submit. And last but not least, we have Mark Coyle, who is live streaming this and makes all this virtual stuff a reality, and appreciate that. So I saw we have a number of people. I saw some people that I know and some that I'm not so haven't had the opportunity to meet. Just want to run through a couple of rules of participation and just to be respectful and remain open-minded. And it is very important that you've had your say. We had a number of people that registered and have some that weren't able to come to this meeting tonight, but have posted their vote already, which we will look at and talk about in a minute. So any individual who participates in comments or conversations that contain profanity or sexually explicit content, discriminatory in any fashion, violates the rule of law, regulation, or promotes illegal activity and conduct, discloses personal data or information about others, or violates any policies or procedures of the City of Belleville, will have their comments deleted and may be removed from the online meeting. With that, we'll get underway. So in 2022, the City of Belleville approved funding for consultation services for the development of a comprehensive park and recreation master plan for the City of Belleville. Up to that point, all park development had been done on an ad hoc basis. So in other words, it was a little job here, a job there, and there was no consolidated plan looking at the city and how park spaces are developed. And they just didn't consider the entire needs of the community. This past practice has resulted in some significant deficits. We have a city of over 50,000 people. And unfortunately, we have no basketball courts. We don't have any public tennis courts. But there is a plan. It's available online at the link that you see there. And there's two comprehensive documents. One is phase 1. And the second one is the final report, which hopefully will be going to council for adoption. If you have any questions about, it's quite an interesting read and provides lots of more information on how the city is planning to, over the next 10 years, to catch up to where we should be right now. So, of the 142 recommendations being considered by Mayor and Council, in the adoption of this master plan is recommendation 75, and it states that that the city should adopt a standard of provision of one playground within every 500 meters or a 5-minute walk of new residential areas, and as a guideline for identifying and resolving gaps in existing residential areas. And in addition to those, that 500 meters, major roads, natural features, and railway corridors would be considered. And in the document, you will see this is Jackson Woods right here. So we have a number of other areas where there's playground gaps that we don't have playgrounds for the community within that standard. This 500 meters is a general standard that's used by a lot of municipalities throughout Ontario and Canada. So here we are. We're moving forward in the plan. And as you can see, Jackson Woods meets that gap. So now we have.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't think the slides are going through.
They're not.
No, I'm not seeing them here. We had a comment in the chat here.
Okay. Mark, suggestion. Should I forward it to you?
All right. Well, you're sharing them, Roland, so you'll have to start this. You can click slideshow, start from current slide, and then use your arrow keys to move through, or you can send them to me, one or the other.
That's what I've been doing.
Interesting. Yeah, it's only the opening slide that has been displayed up to this point.
Someone's suggesting enable editing. If you click that, you might.
And if you stop the share and restart the share, sometimes it will be happy again.
Does everybody see the background?
I see it.
Yep, yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try this. We always, when we used to be in conferences, we would always think about technical difficulties, and virtual public houses have brought it to a whole new high. So the city of Belleville, with the Park and Recreation Master Plan, now has a 10-year plan to narrow the recreational gaps in several areas to develop parks and trails and other green infrastructure to provide dynamic and passive outdoor opportunities for the community. Okay, it's now not letting me move forward. Oh, it is now.
I think you're just slightly delayed a little, Roland, but it is moving.
Okay. Okay, so some of the questions that I've received is with regard to people in the area being able to have a say in what was going into the parkland. So in 2021, a survey was posted on the city's website to engage the community regarding various. There was a number of questions, 14 questions, and they were very specific. And we put out 1,500 surveys that were mailed out, and we got a total of 423 responses back. And it was a consideration of the committee that this being the second survey in the last 2 years. So we'd had 2 surveys done. We had a survey in 2020 and 2021. And the results that we got from those surveys, there was no significant difference, and we felt that that the data that we received would be something very similar to it. So we moved on. I see we're delayed a little bit, so I apologize for that. Oh, there we are. Yep, sorry about that. We've got lots of time. And so question 6, and I'm not going to share every question with you, but they'll give you an idea on the information that was provided to the contractors. So question 6 says, in your opinion, what is the importance of the following park and play space features? The number one thing that was on was swings. You'll notice the 5th one down there, it says swings, and it was 81.15% of the people said that that was first and foremost the most important thing. And then as you look through that list there, benches and tables, slides, and structures and climbers were important. And 47% of the people said exercise equipment was important. And then one of the other questions I wanted to share was, so this was a playground survey that we put out. We've asked the question, would you say that there was a need for park elements suited for ages 12 and above? And approximately 73% of the people that answered that, 303 people said that there was the need for park elements suited for 12 or older. So with that information, and the Park and Recreation Master Plan and some of the information that we've gathered from that as well, we provided the following scope to the contractors. And the scope was that they were to interpret the results of the the census. One of the other pieces of information that we use when we're looking at playgrounds is what is the population within the area. So we take the demographics of 500 meters circle around the area, and we get the information off of Census Canada, and then it determines who's living there. We also get information about cultural information as well. But really the information that we're wanted to look at was that not just for under 12, but also for youth 12 to 18 years old, which you'll see equates for about 14 to 18% of the population of the area. So the guiding principle that we provided to the contractors or the vendors was family age representation. This was a challenge because we also know that there's public school just up the road as well. In addition, and that they do use that playground quite a bit. In addition to the playground equipment, we asked that 2 picnic tables be secured and placed within the playground. Our suggestion was that they would maybe go around the outside, and as you'll see from the presentations from the 2 contractors tonight, there was some interpretation of what could go there and how they could go there. So once the proposals were submitted, and I want to take a little bit of time because I've had some questions about this. So once proposals are submitted, a committee will review the proposals on established criteria. That criteria is usually set ahead of time in the tender that goes out to the contractors to make sure that they understand how their proposals are going to be evaluated. We have 2 proposals that we believe, far be it they are different, but we believe that they meet all the criteria in the closest way. And one of the things that I just wanted to pause here, and Sarah, if I could ask you, if you could just talk a little bit about accessibility and what that means holistically, please.
Absolutely. So it's definitely been a priority for us to create inclusive public spaces, and especially parks and playgrounds where kids and youth and adults of all abilities can come out and enjoy. And we've really tried to look at the broad spectrum of disabilities and how people with different abilities are using playgrounds and engaging in play, either individually or with their peers. So when we are evaluating the accessibility component for play spaces, it is much more than just physical accessibility. So access, for those who use mobility or assistive devices, but sensory components, it could be sound, tactile, anything like that. That there's quiet spaces, it's a much more than just physical accessibility that we're evaluating when we look at that. So we think about things just such as colors, quiet spaces, ground elements, elevated elements, sensory elements, something like swings, which is just a huge one for everybody, as the surveys indicate, but just extra important that we're also offering accessible swings or swings of different styles so that they can be used by people of different ability and mobility levels, because that is a big sensory component, a play component for a lot of children and youth. So we just try to look, like Roland used a good term, like holistically at what it means to create an inclusive play space and inclusive public space for people of all abilities, and not just kind of the physical component of accessibility.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So our first presentation is not by Janet, it's by Eric. And he is the representative for ABC Recreation. So he's going to make a presentation, and then there's an opportunity to ask any questions of him. Any questions pertaining to the presentation, I will respond to them at the end of the meeting. But any questions that you have pertaining to them, you can ask after their presentation. Here you go, Eric. You're on.
I think
Okay,
I'm next.
This presentation is actually me, not Eric, the ABC proposal.
Oh, great. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay. Not a problem at all. So we really kind of looked at what the tender had asked for. So looking at holistic family exercise and playground equipment. So we really wanted to try and have equipment for all ages. So looking at the demographics, looking at 53% were between the ages of 20 and 64. So what we decided to do was put both adult fitness equipment and playground equipment in this park. So what we chose to do, so on the left-hand side, you can see there is an area of fitness equipment. So we have four stations essentially. Starting at the bottom, just to give you a bit of an idea, we've got our plyometric station. So you can do step ups, you can jump over them. There's a variety of different things you can do at each one of these stations. Each station also has a sign that gives you some instructions on how it can be used. So plyometrics is the first station. Then you go to your assisted row push-up station. Then you've got a sit-up and a pull-up station. And then you've got your pull-up and chin-up station. So these are four areas. They're deemed for ages 13 plus. So teenagers, adults, it's a great opportunity to come out, be able to have some things to do while your kids are playing on the playground, or even those families that don't have kids that are coming to the playground. It's an opportunity for them to come and use the park and be able to use some of that fitness equipment and be able to do fitness outside, which is a a lovely opportunity when the weather is nice. We will also have 2 picnic tables. I know it's not displayed on the 3D, but we will have 2 8-foot accessible picnic tables. So they will have an end where a user can come in and be able to access the table where there's no bench in the way. And they will be on concrete pads just off the asphalt pathway. So we've chosen to put a limestone pathway through the middle, and this is primarily to separate the adult fitness equipment from the children's equipment. And they will sort of be ramped down on both sides so that they can get in at a gentle slope to get into the area. And then we've got some children's equipment. So we've got a set of swings, so 2 belts, 1 toddler swing, and then 1 accessible swing seat that has a harness to be able to provide that upper body support for those that might need it. Then we've got sort of like a fitness type structure that has a variety of different elements on it. You know, our fishnet climber, ring tangle climber, log rolls. So you get sort of that spinning opportunity, turning bar, which can also be a bar if there's a user in a mobility device. They can also use it for sort of some pull-up type things if they've got access with their upper body. We've got our rush slide and our overhead trekker ladder. So, you know, we've got a variety of different things, really kind of taking the fitness aspect to the playground equipment. And then we've got our cozy dome. So the one that looks a little bit like an igloo. And this is a piece that has become really popular in our playgrounds for a variety of different reasons. So our cozy dome can be a climber, so you can climb all over the outside of it. B, it can be a nice area for socialization. So a couple of kids inside kind of hanging out, really sort of doing that piece of play. And then it can also be an area for anyone that's got a sensory processing disorder that needs some quiet time. So it's a great place to kind of take a bit of a breath, take some time out, still be involved in the play area, still be part of the action, but be able to kind of step away, because sometimes children with autism get a little bit overwhelmed. There's a lot going on. There might be a lot of kids at the park, and they just kind of need that opportunity to sort of step away, take a little bit, regroup. And this is a great feature to kind of be able to do that and be able to sort of have that little cozy space to be able to kind of go and hang out. So engineered wood fiber for the surfacing material. So this would be an opportunity as well. Great for mobility devices, for strollers, that kind of thing, to be able to get into the play area. And then we would leave the remaining grass around the edges in the space that we don't need for the play area. So that's basically my explanation. I guess I'll open it up to if there's any questions.
Thanks, Shelley.
You're welcome.
So we have
Okay.
a few questions more geared towards Roland, but maybe one you can address is, will the benches be spaced so they are not fully in the sun?
So they're going to be, so the 2 picnic tables, we have chosen spots right near some of the trees on the outside of the asphalt pathway, but we will, before we even go and put those into the ground, we will certainly consult with Belleville to get a determination of where they would like them. You know, we had sort of chosen near the trees to provide a little bit of shade, but there isn't a significant amount of tree cover in that area. So we certainly will do our best to get them into the best location possible.
Another question, you may have already addressed it. What is the height of the swings? In the mock-ups, they look appropriate for 1 to 3-year-olds.
So the swings, the top bar is 8 feet, which is a standard height for a traditional swing set. And then the heights of the swings will be based on the belt swings will be at least a foot off the ground, if not higher. And the toddler swings will be at least 2 feet off the ground.
Another question, which way are we looking? Which is the directionality of the park? North, south, east, west?
We're looking We're looking south, southeast on the largest of the pictures. So the swings are on the back side of the loop, on the south side of the loop. The exercise equipment that you'll see there is on the side of the loop where the trail lights are. And Jenna, sorry, I'm just going to add something to the question relating to picnic tables and shade. There is some money that has been saved. There is a plan to plant some trees actually along the south side of that loop, not the side where the trail lights are currently, but on the south side. So there is some plans to plant trees there. Sorry, Jenna, go ahead.
Those are all the questions I've received specific to the presentation so far. So
maybe just encourage anybody else that has any questions relating to that. No more, Jenna?
not specific to this presentation, but I think I'll save them until the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Well, Shelley, I'm really apologize for making a mess of who was doing what, but
Not a problem.
I'm glad that I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Great,
So
thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Eric from OpenSpace Solutions, and welcome him to make his presentation.
Great, thanks, Roland. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to log on to review our design for the new playground at Jackson Woods Park. I represent OpenSpace Solutions, as Roland said. We're based out of Wellesley, Ontario, and the playground equipment that we have proposed for this site is designed and manufactured by Jambet out of Quebec, so they are a Canadian company. So if you see on the bottom right here, we've included a top view of the layout of our play area. So we've designed the layout to include a concrete pad within the pathway at the top of the play area there. So we utilized the full area, and then we actually designed the concrete pad so that it would be flush to the surrounding pathway. So any mobility devices or wheelchair users are going to be able to easily make the transition onto the pathway. And we have the accessible tables there with the extended end for wheelchair or other mobility device use, as well as seating on the tables. So the playground design incorporates a combination of traditional structures and freestanding ground level play. It's difficult to see all the equipment included in our design, so I'll try to be as descriptive as I can. So the traditional structure is separated into two segments. So on the picture on the top left, you can kind of make out in the middle that there's a climbing bridge separating the two sections of the structure. And the design intent here is that the lower section on the left is intended for the junior age group, as well as accessibility requirements. And the high level platforms on the right are for senior and older users as well. So the lower section is fully accessible through the use of a transfer station. So the idea is that it's set at a height for users to ideally transfer off of the wheelchair onto the platform. And the steps are also designed to be lower height increases and deeper, so that they're easier to travel up and down than typical steps or larger height increases. And so you can see on the top right picture here, we've included a double slide that's fully accessible next to the transfer station. So the design intent behind that is that a caregiver can assist a user up to the slide, and then can also assist them down the slide thanks to the double bedway if needed. And then their mobility device is going to be located very close by to the slide exit section. So we've also included a rock wall and a little board climber on the junior section to provide more developmentally appropriate challenge for the junior users who do not need to use the transfer station to access that structure. So on the elevated accessible route, we have included two manipulative panels. So the first one is a labyrinth panel, very similar to the labyrinth game that I'm sure many of you know. The little wheel in the middle there can be manipulated, and there's steel balls that you move through that panel. So it's really great for fine motor skills development and interactive kids playing with each other. And then the other panel that was included on that elevated route is the anthill maze panel. So there's a bunch of tracks on the panel, and there's little red pieces with pictures of ants, and they move them through the anthill. And it's another great little fine motor skills manipulative play feature. And then at the ground level, we have the leaf steering wheel, which is right there on the transfer station, and the lemonade game counter. So those have both been included for imaginative and social play. So now the senior portion of the structure on the other side of the climbing bridge includes some higher level platforms. We go up to a 6-foot slide. And so we have a curved arch metal honeycomb climber going up there. And then we also have on that 6-foot platform a pair of binoculars that are situated so the kids can look through the binoculars up on the 6-foot platform and look across the play area. Freestanding, we've included a 2-bay swing set. And for early years users, we've included the car spring rider. Gives them the sensory motion rocking play. And beside the car spring rider, you can see it just to the left on the top picture there is a Zyra 40 spinner. So that's a seated spinner that a user can use on their own. They can sit down or they can lie on their stomach and spin on it. And they can also take turns spinning each other on the spinner. And then we've also included a 4-seat teeter-totter. So it can be used by 2 kids at a time or 4 kids at a time simultaneously. It's a great little inclusive social play area for the kids to play together. And then focusing on the senior and the older users, we've included the Zyra climber. You can kind of see it at the bottom in the center there. That's actually a different Zyra climber. We put the wrong picture in there. The one that we've included is the metal loop climber version. And so there's 3 legs coming off of the Zyra climber. And so with the way that they can use the climber is each leg has loops on it so they can climb underneath the climber. They can climb over top on the top of the climber. And there's also steps on the center post so they can climb up the middle and around the sides. So there's a lot of different ways that they can use a climber like this as opposed to traditional overhead climbing. This type of climber will keep them engaged for longer periods of time. And then lastly, we've also included the Zyra 30, which is an overhead spinner. You see it on the bottom left there. So it's rated for up to 6 users. You might find that more than 6 users go on it at a time. And it's really great for keeping the older kids, even adults, engaged, as it's a really high energy piece that you'll grab hold of it and people will help you spin. Your legs will start to push out to the side as you're spinning on it. And you can really vary how fast you're spinning depending on your ability. And that was kind of our signature piece that we threw in to keep the older kids that the RFP asked for engaged in play. So with that, thanks everyone for taking the time to listen, and look forward to your questions.
So our first question, compared to presentation A, what can 13 plus and then the 55% from 20 years and up, 80% is 20 and up?
Yeah, so the climbing and the spinning are what we did for the older kids. 20 and up is definitely a hard demographic to cover with playground equipment, but that overhead spinner it's just kind of like a net climber. It's unique. It's something that people are going to want to be engaged in and try out because it's a fun, different thing to do at a playground.
Was there any other questions, Jenna?
Just one more for both. Someone is asking if the colors in both mock-ups will be true to the finished installation.
So once I can respond to that question. So once the committee has made a decision, and the decision is made based on the Park and Recreation Master Plan. It's all of the information we've received. The voting that occurs today and previous, it'll go to council for approval and awarding to the successful contractor. Usually within a relatively short period of time after that award, the city gets requested what colors we would like, because the palettes that are available from the contractors vary a little bit. And Sarah would be a part of that process as well, because color is important. And hopefully that answers the question.
One more specific to this proposal. What is the max age for the swing set?
There isn't a max age for the swing set. There's 2 toddler seats and 2 belt seats. So the toddler seats are designed for up to 5. I mean, more realistically, up to 4 years old. Once they hit 5, they go on to the belt seats. And as far as the belt seats, as long as you're still able to hold yourself up and keep swinging, you can use them.
We have a few questions relating to the benches, Roland. I wasn't sure if you wanted to answer those now or wait until the end.
Sure, let's go with bench questions.
So someone is asking, instead of the 2 picnic tables, is it possible for 1 picnic table and 2 separate benches instead?
We could look within the funding and negotiate with the final contractor if that was a desire for the community. So I would ask that if
in the open space solutions, is there any provision for seniors activity?
Specific to seniors, I have to say we don't have anything specific designed for seniors.
And those are the only specific questions I've received.
Okay. So next if there is no further questions relating to the presentations, we'd like to ask you to, we're going to have a poll. So if you could throw that up, please, Jenna. And so based on the presentation, based on the information, we're going to ask that you select one of the following, ABC or OpenSpace. It is important for the participants to realize that that your voice is very important to us, and that this is a part of the decision on what unit would go in there. So not necessarily the result of this poll will be the end result, but it plays a very important and strong role, having the community have their say. So if how are we doing this? We getting some results, Jenna?
Still going at about 28, 1 of 28. So give it a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Maybe there's some questions, odd questions that I could answer while people are sort of working through to give us an answer on option 1 or option 2.
Someone had asked what the square footage of both proposals would be.
Eric or Shelley, do you know what your square meters are? I think based on from what I saw from your complete tender documents, I believe that they're pretty close in utilizing the area. It's one of the reasons that we did select these 2.
So mine was 7,740 square feet. That's not including the concrete pad for the seating area. So it's the entire area inside of the pathway.
And I think Shelley's is ABC's is.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to find my mute button. We are 3,700 square feet without the pathway and the ramps. So you add that in, that's another 1,300 square feet. So we'd be up to just over 5,000 square feet.
Thank you. Jenna, how are we doing on the poll? And
Just one individual hasn't voted. Seems to be holding steady at 25 of 26.
okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll close the poll. Okay, so there are the results. So 68% selected the ABC and 32% selected OpenSpace solutions. So thank you. So as I mentioned before, staff will review and consolidate all the information received from this meeting, the survey, the tender submissions, and the Park and Recreation Master Plan, and put together a recommendation for council approval. Tentatively, that is February 14th. But that will determine on the clerk's office and the load that council has for that meeting. So I know that there's a number of questions for me. So we'll, you want to start going through them, Jenna, for me?
So our first question, will the natural habitat north of the park be retained?
Yes. There, so just further to that, there is that natural habitat to the north of the park has significant stand of ash, and they are significantly infected with emerald ash borer. And the Park and Recreation Master Plan talks about all parklands and some recommendations regarding emerald ash borer and doing some reviews on where those stand. Currently, just an aside, currently we have approximately 450 trees in parklands that the city has invested in to try and maintain. We spend a significant amount of time and materials in order to inject the trees with a biological chemical that helps to control the emerald ash borer. So, and that was started approximately 10 years ago, and it's probably time to reassess that as per the Park and Recreation Master Plan. Jenna?
We have someone asking what will happen with the memorial benches that are there now.
The memorial benches will stay and were included. They will not be moved. Further to that, just a note, in 2021, the early months of 2021, we did a complete review of all parklands of the trail lighting. And there is 2 poles that are missing in this area. And with the increase of the playgrounds, not this year, but it would be hoped that in 2023 capital budget, we would look to replace those poles because they need to be replaced.
The next question, there seems to be an absence of equipment for seniors. Since this is heavily oriented seniors community, any comments?
So it was a difficult. So yes, it is a heavily. There is a lot of seniors in the community. The budget allowance for this project, inclusive, was $125,000. That's all in. That's all of the information that we had to gather for the contractors, tree planting, etc. That's not, and so therefore there was only a certain amount of budget allowed. The issue is that the Statistics Canada said that there's over 50% of seniors in the area, and it's going to grow. But we also have a public school that is within a 3-minute walk that was very active in that park. So we're trying to satisfy both worlds, and I think the two vendors, two contractors what we've done is we tried to put two very different playgrounds before you to try and help with that issue.
Next question, is there any additional lighting to be considered to prevent vandalism?
So as I said, not this year, just as so that the participants know. Each one of those trail lights to replace is just shy of $10,000 to replace the trail lights. So there's approximately 300 trail lights that have been identified as issues, whether that's to replace them with LED or lights as opposed to the energy not so energy efficient lighting. So we're working through a process to identify them, and as I said, this location needs more lighting.
The next question, is it possible for more benches to be added for parents, etc., to watch their little ones?
Yes, it is possible. So one of the things, a program that we have within the parks is donation benches, and the Kiwanis East Bay Shore is pretty full of benches, and we've been trying to encourage people when they want to donate benches to look at areas where there are deficiencies. The other option that people have to help with that issue of putting in other park benches is to go online on report an issue and request a park bench to be put in this area, and then operations staff could look at that.
We have someone asking if both budgets are within the budget, or sorry, if both proposals are within the budget.
Yes, the budget that was provided to the contractors was $115,000, and both make so only all of the proposals that were submitted met budget. So yes, it is within budget.
Someone is asking, where exactly is the location going to be for the playground? Will it replace the existing area where the circle is now?
So it's in the center. It's in the center of the loop. So the existing trail system loop will stay intact. Jenna?
I think those are the only ones that we have right now.
I just happened to notice a question earlier with regard to the survey, and there was some question or comment about the survey wasn't provided to the Jackson Woods area. So we put just to maybe they came in late, but we had put out two surveys, and one in 2020 and one in 2021. And both surveys results matched pretty much the same. So we didn't want to hold up getting us in. One of the criteria that we've put with the contractors that bearing, of course, the supply chain, is that these are in by June 24th of this year. So, and both proposals have suggested that those will be possible. We wanted to get it in for before the summer for everybody to utilize. Was there any other questions?
Someone is asking if there will be a cleanup of the wooded area to facilitate better security at the site.
Yes, that entire woodlot needs some revamping because of, and I know that personally I've walked through there and seen some of the graffiti on trees and some of the encampments that are in there. There's a fair amount of invasive weed species in there as well. And the Park and Recreation Master Plan does speak to creating a woodland management plan for its parks, and so that will be something that's part of the recreation Parks and Recreation Master Plan process, and working through all of the items that we need to. We have gone through a number, I believe, Ken would probably know better than me, but it was at least 10 years ago that there was a clean out of it, and it's due again. So it all comes down to operations ability to do that.
Yeah, I think it was my first year with the city, Roland. It was be 18 years ago. We Jack Woods.
So it's probably more than well overdue. So one of the things that we are trying to do, just take a bit of a sideline when it comes to tree planting, is working with the Rotary Club. If you're not aware, the Rotary Club currently has a program called Rotary Loves Trees. And they're trying to plant one tree for every resident in Belleville. And it's their goal to plant 50,000 trees. And we're working very closely with them to look for locations. A lot of times what happens is we've worked, and TD trees as well. We've planted a number of trees in a park, Boyd Park, which is north of the 401, up by Potters Creek housing development. We go in, we do a clean out, and then volunteers come in and plant that, replant it. So, any other questions, Jenna?
Yeah, another question. It's been mentioned that there are no basketball courts in the area. I have seen a number of nets at the end of people's driveway, which is very unsafe as play extends onto the street. Could something be done to address this safety issue?
So one of the things I would suggest to any resident is, you're right, they shouldn't be in the roads and right of ways. Is if you see that, you can report an issue on or report a concern on the city's website. We are currently, Mayor and Council for the capital budget of 2022 provided funding to put to write the course on basketball courts. We are currently, so there's one proposed to be installed at Alamite Park, which is where the ball diamond is. Tom Gavey Alamite Park, on the north side of the ball diamonds. There's one lit basketball court that is proposed and being prepared to be put in. There has been some interest in a service club, maybe putting in a second one at that location. And moving forward, we're looking for locations where we can put in basketball and tennis. Tennis is another issue that we're looking to write the course on.
One more question for the signage. If the fitness equipment is selected, could Braille be added?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's a very good
Shelley?
question. I'll have to check. I'm not sure that I've seen it done, but I know we've done Braille on other things, so I can certainly check into it and find out.
Yeah, even if it's a separate plaque that adheres to your existing ones, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it may have to be something custom that's done, but I can certainly inquire.
Jenna?
I think you've addressed everything.
Great. Well, I just want to give some final comments. I wanted to thank Shelley and Eric for their presentation tonight. Thank the panel for being a part of it. And I wanted to thank you all for taking the time to be a part of tonight and helping to shape and develop your playgrounds and parklands. Was there any other questions that came in, Jenna?
Someone has said tennis is much needed. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I can touch on that. So, the city of Belleville is one of 100 municipalities that has been selected by Tennis Canada to work with. I've had several meetings with Tennis Canada about the tennis court that we're going to be installing in Potters Creek. That location actually has the possibility of having 3 tennis courts being installed. And so yes, so we're trying to address the issue. There's a lot of issues and we have a long way to go over the next 10 years to get us where we need to be today. Anything else, Jenna?
Someone asked where that is.
Potters Creek.
Yeah.
So it's in the West End. It is west of Avondale, north of Dundas. It's in the new development on Sienna Drive where the telephone company is. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know what they're called, but it's on Sienna Drive just before you go over the CP Railway overpass.
And I think you've covered everything.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everybody again for coming and helping us with this exciting development for the area. And as I said, it's proposed to go to council for approval on February 14th, after which, once it's approved, the results will be available online. We have a page specific to parkland and playgrounds on the website. If you have any other questions or comments related to this or any park development, planning and development, you can email me and some others at parkconstruction@belleville.ca. That goes to myself and it goes to a couple other people to ensure that we can get back to you in a timely fashion. No more questions, Jenna?
Nope, no more.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank everybody and wish you all and good night.
Thank you so much for